Today, we're going to be ranking all of the Honkai Impact short animations. Now, for those of you who don't know, I'm a massive Honkai Impact fan, a level 88 captain, and have spent more money on this franchise than I would like to admit. But it's all for a good reason, I swear. It's just, the story of this game has always been something special to me. Personally, I just really love the story, and it's made me feel more emotion than basically any other story I have ever experienced in any other form of media. It contains a lot of my favorite characters, a lot of my favorite moments, a lot of my favorite messages, and it doesn't try to be super subtle with its messages, but it portrays them in such a way where even without being like super subtle, each message hits really hard and can be easily related to, and the execution is just done really strongly. Like, I personally think that Hoyoverse does the best 3D anime ever. Like, if you haven't watched any of their shorts, go watch them. Even if you don't understand the context, you can still appreciate the music, the animation, the voice acting. I think that it'll still be a good time even if you haven't watched it. But without further ado, we should get going. Now, as you can see, the lowest tier here is B, because there's not really any Honkai animations that I would rank C or below. Anyways, Bronya, just the basic Bronya. I'm gonna put Bronya just a B, simply because there's just not much substance to it. It's more of a trailer than it is a story point. It's just Bronya mowing down a bunch of guards, which is badass and it's well animated, but I just don't think it has as much meaning as most of the other ones or hold as much significance. In fact, let's get rid of those ones kind of out of the way now. Durandal versus Kevin. Durandal versus Kevin. This one was fine too. It's another B. I think it's a bit better than Bronya because of the spectacle. Basically, Durandal fights Kevin. Yeah, that's more or less what happens. Ooh, Amazing Grace. I'm gonna put Amazing Grace at S tier because it's the moment where Kiana really sharpens her resolve and protects her promise that she made to Himiko. Let's see. This one is the Hersher of Sentience's Awakening. I think that this is S tier. It's a very effective introduction to the new villain of this arc, where it shows her going up against Bronya, Durandal, and Kevin, which are some of the strongest entities that were currently in the Honkai universe at the time. What's this one? This is Kiana. That's not Meteoric Salvation. This is the moment. Hold up. This is the moment after Meteoric Salvation, where the whole city lights up. I'm gonna put this one at A tier, just because it's really short, and it's not part of the original Meteoric Salvation, which is this one. It's a added after scene that shows Kiana standing above the city and looking at it. And it does mean something. It's Kiana looking down at the city she just saved. But it's actually not canon, since after the explosion, Kiana was put into a coma because of the force, and she got sent tumbling back to Earth where Durandal got her. So it's not canon, but it's a cool visual, and it drops with the music, so it's nice. It's a nice addition to Meteoric Salvation. And on that note, I'm going to put Meteoric Salvation up here in S tier. The only reason it's not SSS tier is because I'm saving that for my top 3 animations, period. But Meteoric Salvation is super close to being up there, because the opening few minutes are just Kiana mowing down a whole army of robots and parkouring through the city, and it's just a really cool action shot. And then seeing her lift the bomb with the help and encouragement of Himiko in her last words, that was also very powerful. I think that this was an incredible animation. And the cityscape was also really cool. Cyber Angel. Cyber Angel goes top of S tier. Super hype. Doesn't hold as much story significance as some of the other animations, which is one reason why it's an S tier. But the animation's well done. The fight choreography was well done. The song is a bop. I think that this is a very strong one, and it's top of S tier for now. I'm going to save Everlasting Flames for later, because that pre-revelation, I'm going to put pre-revelation bottom of A tier, just because it does carry some story significance, but it's more like I said, it's more of a trailer than it is an actual story animation. It's cool, and we get to see the visual of Kiana facing off against Otto. We get to see all the Valkyries stand together after after the events of Chapter 25, and I think it's a cool visual, but just overall, eh. Let's see. Next I'm gonna put Will of the Hersher. Ooh, I'm gonna put Will of the Hersher at the under Cyber Angel, just because Will of the Hersher. Actually, I'm gonna put it above Cyber Angel. Will of the Hersher is the first like indicator in the game where stuff really, where shit really hits the fan. Like, when we see the Hersher display all of her powers for the first time and absolutely annihilate an army of robots and defeat basically all the main characters, that was an incredibly defining moment for the character. It really showed off her cold demeanor, her incredible power, her absolute threat to the world of Honkai. And it makes you feel hopeless at the time. And the way that it ends with the Hersher looking at you is super menacing. So I think that this is an amazing villain video, so I'm going to put it at the top of S tier. Reburn? Reburn, I'm going to put at the top of A tier. I think Reburn is... Actually, I'm going to put Reburn, yeah, top of A tier. Yeah, I think so. I'm also gonna, I'm gonna keep Hersher Sentience's... Actually, I'm gonna move Hersher Sentience's Awakening at under an A tier. Reburn is the first real animated short, and it's a bit confusing when you first watch it since it came out so early. But in the timeline, I don't know if it's canon anymore. With the recent like first look short trailer, it's really hard to tell whether or not Reburn is canon because technically speaking, Kiana has the slashed out Shixel hoodie, and she's able to use Night Moonbeam, but she's also still in direct contact with May, which we know she wasn't while she was stuck in the city after returning from Hersher form. And I don't know, it's a really weird short, but yeah, it's just, I don't know. I think it's more of a spectacle, so I'm gonna put it at the top of A tier. But it's a great introduction to Kiana and her overall style, and I really like it. Dual Ego. I'm going to put Dual Ego at the bottom of S tier. It's a defining moment for Sele, where she finally stops being a coward and running away. We get to see her stand up and fight to protect Bronya, and I think it's a really neat animation with a killer soundtrack. And I know a lot of other people who think that this is like the top S tier. For me personally, Sele is just not my personal favorite character. I like her, but I just don't have that attachment. So I guess that's the reason why she's not up there. Also, this one. This one's a weird one to put. I'm going to put this one at the bottom of B tier. Just because this is the first ever Honkai Impact like teaser trailer, I guess, that they made. It's the first video on their YouTube channel ever. And it's really weird because it's just a trailer where we see Kiana skydiving. And I mean, it's cool. The soundtrack is neat, but it just doesn't really mean anything. So I'm gonna put it at the bottom. I think it's probably the weakest short. Ooh. All right. Shoot, man. Thus Spoke Apocalypse. Thus Spoke Apocalypse. I hate to say it, but is it better than Meteoric Salvation though? Oh, this is really hard. I love Meteoric Salvation, but god damn it, I gotta give it respect. Alright, I hate Otto, alright? I absolutely hate him. He is an absolute piece of scum. But I cannot deny that he stuck to his guns and managed to complete his goal in some sense and didn't hurt anyone after the fact, even though he's hurt so many people and he acknowledges that he's the villain. And it's really hard to admit that this guy has any redeeming qualities, but I will say, fine. I think that Otto is pretty cool, I guess. He's a good villain. That's enough praising Otto. And the soundtrack is amazing. It's one of the few that I can sing well, thanks to it, because I have a deeper singing voice, so it's really hard to sing some of these other songs. Alright, we're down to the last 5. These are the last 5 that I personally think are the best. Now I'm gonna name them from number 5 to number 1. So at number 5 of these, I'm gonna put Lament of the Fallen. Lament of the Fallen is a super good animatic, and the thing is animation. But the thing is, I didn't watch it until I watched it too many times before actually making it to that point. And even though I knew the context, it definitely did hit different after I actually made it up to that point in the story. But usually with most of these shorts, I've watched them at least once, and then after I've seen the context, they hit way different the second time. And Lament of the Fallen definitely did. It made me cry, which is the prerequisite for all of these for all of these top 5. They just consistently have made me tear up. But I think Lament of the Fallen definitely did it the least. But it's still an amazing short. Go watch it. I'll try to leave a link in the description to a playlist of all of these that are on Honkai's channel. Alright, so number 4. The number 4 best animation? Gotta be Because of You. Alright, Because of You. Because of You, I remember the first time I watched it was when I first moved into college, so I was already in a pretty, vulnerable state, and then this came out, and then it was just another kick in the gut. And after I made it, after I finished the Elysian Realm and made it back to this part, oh my gosh, this hit so different. Seeing the Flame Chasers fight for the Elysian Realm to give Elysia the chance to defeat the Hersher of Corruption, and then seeing her and all of them fight at the same time when they mentioned that they've never ever all fought together before, and seeing them all appear there, oh man, that was so powerful. I think that was an absolutely incredible moment. And if you're a Honkai fan who's made it to that far, you'll know exactly what I mean. It's just hard to describe in words. But that's why Because of You, for me, is number 4. Number 3. Out of these 3, we have Everlasting Flames, Final Lesson, and Shattered Samsara. And I'm going to say Final Lesson is number 3. Final Lesson is the first of the Honkai shorts to make me, really emotional. It really got to me. Especially the scene, because a lot of people think the scene's cheesy, but I think that it was well done. Where Himiko thinks during a point in the battle where she's struggling, she thinks back to all of her students and draws power from that. And that scene, if you watched my last video, there was a freeze frame that I paused on where it's just Kiana smiling. That scene in Final Lesson done something to me, man. Every time I see Kiana face the camera and smile, I'm just not the same. It's like Pavlov's dog. I just can't help. Just the tears start forming. It just happens. I just break inside a little bit. I just die a little. But yeah, no, Final Lesson, seeing the love of a teacher here, one thing, it really reminds me of a good teacher. Just like Himiko, from an outsider's perspective, she's a drunkard, hopeless romantic, a bit aggressive sometimes, and a little bit young at heart. But at the end of the day, she gives her all for the future of her students and is the absolute extreme to what I think a good teacher is. And that's why it's at number 3. Now, these top 2 are unbelievably close. But at the same time, I already know which one's number 1. Number 2, Shattered Samsara. Even if you've never played Honkai or ever consumed any of the content before, you can appreciate Shattered Samsara. This is an animation that just is solid all around. It does not require context. The music speaks for itself. The dialogue speaks for itself. And context makes it even more emotional. But just a lot of people can relate to this animated short. Because it's just a lot of people that I know don't want to get close to others because they're afraid of them being hurt or hurting the other person by not living up to their expectations. And I think that it's a dumb reason to not want to be around someone that you have every right to be around, because at the end of the day, we all live our lives around the people that we want to live our lives around, and we shouldn't waste that time worrying about whether or not the future might backfire on us, because at the time we should be living the present and enjoying the company of people who might not be around in the future, so that we can really appreciate them once they're gone. And that's why I believe Shattered Samsara can appeal to most people who watch it, even if they don't have any context. But number one is very, very handedly Everlasting Flames. Like, there's a reason why, if you see me in real life, I'm probably wearing some form of Hersher Flameshin merch. Like, this short legitimately redefines the way that I look at the world as a whole. Like, I'm not even joking. This short, because I used to be really pessimistic, right? So I used to be a massive pessimist. I would, be that Debbie Downer, not want to acknowledge the good things that are going on, focus heavily on the bad things. And then this short came out, and the first time I watched it, I was like, it's a cool short, it's a cool character, I'll re-download Honkai. And I did. And then I played through the story again, and then I realized I learned the message, because in the trailer there is a short poem that just goes where pain once shadowed the path, hope will be rekindled to burn away the darkness and carry on the everlasting flame. To me, that poem means that no matter what darkness you may encounter in life, no matter how hard it is to see the light, that little spark from somewhere in your life, that friend, that family member, that job you look forward to going every day, that hobby that you keep doing because you love it, those little sparks, what if you give them enough fuel, they can ignite and they can burn away the darkness and allow you to see through it to find the beautiful things in the world again. And I think that that message is incredibly powerful, and I think that it is important for us to focus on the good things in life without completely ignoring the bad. Because some people think that optimism means, oh, I always need to focus on the good thing. I can never acknowledge that anything bad happens ever. But that's just not true. It's unrealistic. And in this short, one of the direct quotes from the middle of the battle is, sure, the world may not be all sunshine and rainbows, but there are people who have showed me the beautiful things in the world. I love them and they love me, and I love what they love. And that quote, every time it replays, it just hits me so hard. And then seeing all of her friends giving her the power to defeat the Hersher of Domination, which is this collective mindset that the world is ugly, is incredibly symbolic to me. And I think it's a very effective message that is very easy to understand once you pay attention to it. Oops, I moved that around. But yeah, anyways, that's enough of me rambling. I'll probably end up making a whole breakdown analysis of Everlasting Flames if I ever had the time to, because I could go on talking about that short for a long time. Anyways, yeah, that's my tier list. So number 1, Everlasting Flames. Number 2, Shattered Samsara. Number 3, Final Lesson. Number 4, Because of You. Number 5, Lament of the Fallen. And then you got Thus Spoke Apocalypse, Meteoric Salvation, Will of the Hersher, Cyber Angel, Ave Maria. You got Dual Ego, Reburn, Hersher Sentience's Awakening, the end of the video version of Meteoric Salvation, Free Revelation, Kevin vs. Durandal, Bronya, and the first Honkai trailer. And yeah, I think that's more or less indicative of what I think. I personally wanted to make this list real quick because soon we're going to be seeing the end of this era of Honkai, and we're going to be moving into a new era. But I wanted to go back and take another look to process my feelings about the series as a whole and remember why it's so important to me. And I think this was an effective way to do so. So remember, if you leave a comment, subscribe, interact with the video in any way you'd like. If you're a Honkai fan, leave that in the comments, but I'll see y'all later, and stay tuned for my reaction for the new short. Bye!